Fear. It's one of the most universal emotions we as not only humans, but even animals appear to be capable of sensing. It's the drive, a deep-rooted, intuitive feeling that compels us to either act or become paralyzed, to be stuck in place. Time stands still, our heart beats louder, and the world around us freezes with us while our imagination begins to take over, to rip us right out of reality and into the world of our most fantastic of nightmares. Sometimes, though, our fears are not irrational, but a sense of acceptance of the very real possibility that something unpleasant may happen. And that's the type of fear Batman is dealing with during the story of the Arkham Knight. The game's been out for almost 9 years now. Many people have both appraised and criticized it for various elements, from its story, the characters, the world, the implementation of the Batmobile, and so on, but that's not really what I want to discuss today. What I want to talk about is an angle of Joker and Batman that at times is done so damn well. It takes away from the real villains, the ones that are meant to be the real and more present threat, Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight. But a small parallel story going on in the background is the timer that Batman, or really Bruce, is working on. It's a long, complicated story that really is connected to the game before the Arkham Knight, Rocksteady's Arkham City, and you have to have a baseline understanding of what at least happened to the Joker and how that plays into what is going on with Batman in Rocksteady's final Arkham game. So because of the importance of knowing the background, I am going to run through just the essentials to save some time to really focus on the main premise of this video, because otherwise it can get pretty damn long. But I will say this, if you have never played any of these games, do it now. Personally speaking, Arkham Knight has always been my favorite. I think the combat in the game is second to none. Not even Insomniac's Spider-Man games can come remotely close, but do yourself a favor and go and re-experience these games, or even sit down and enjoy them for the first time, because you will not be disappointed. There's a reason why these games are hailed as classics.
Where is he? He's never been this late before. There's a certain rhythm to these things. I cause trouble, he shows up. We have some laughs and the game starts all over again. Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
The struggle between the Batman and the Joker is almost as old as Batman's creation. They are the very personification of yin and yang, good versus evil. There are all kinds of media, from television shows to the massive budget films. Joker specifically is always seen as the Batman's direct moral counterpart, an answer to all the criminals' problems that is the Batman, the one who just kills and robs, not out of any materialism, but out of the fun of the chase, the satisfaction and personal fulfillment derived out of being confronted with the exact opposite of him, at least in terms of what side of the law they're on. While he's often seen as crazy, he holds no illusions of how he and Batman are no different, equally seen as freaks and the ones that will be eventually blamed for everything that goes wrong. Two peas in a pod that are the results of corruption, a failed society, a system that doesn't care for them.
And why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. No, you complete me.
The struggle between these two are no less impressive in Arkham City. During the events of this game, it's revealed to us that Joker is dying. He exposed himself to something known as the Titan chemical, a variation of Bane's venom drug. The Titan version was synthesized and meant to be stronger than Bane's venom version, allowing those exposed to it to not only acquire Bane's increased strength, but was supposed to be able to withstand more strenuous therapies inside the Arkham Asylum facility. Unfortunately though, due to Titan's unstable properties, it was mutating Joker's blood, which was slowly poisoning him.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me. Take my blood, for example. I wish somebody would. This stuff is killing me.
Why should I care?
Because now, there's a teeny little bit of me in you too, Bats. Oh, come on!
Desperate for a cure, Joker infects Batman with his own blood, further linking their fates. However, in typical Joker fashion, as a failsafe of sorts, he shipped his infected blood to various hospitals throughout Gotham. Meaning, while Batman might be okay with himself and Joker dying, if he wanted to save all of these people though, he must first work towards finding a cure for himself, and by nature the assignment and his incorruptible nature, he has to save the Joker as well. Ultimately, the way the game ends is the Joker ends up dying. The cure that Batman ended up creating was able to be used on him, however the vial that he had for Joker ended up being smashed.
Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
That actually is pretty funny.
Moving into the Arkham Knight, a game that takes place 9 months after the death of the Joker, Batman comes to realize that while he did manage to contain all of the contaminated shipment of Joker's blood that was destined for hospitals, there was a few that managed to slip by, and through some blood transfusions, 5 individuals were successfully infected with the Joker's blood, an infection that was now slowly turning these people into the Joker, both physically and mentally. Batman managed to capture all 4 known infected people, with a 5th cell left open. The game pretty much early on implies the 5th person is Batman all along, and it's later concretely told to us, but the interesting thing about all the people infected was, unlike all of them, Batman and one other individual were the only 2 that had no physical manifestations of being infected by the Joker's blood. As far as we know, Batman was entirely symptomless. That is until he's hit with Scarecrow's newer and stronger fear toxin. This is when the true depth of the situation, Batman's situation, is unveiled. When he's exposed to the stronger fear toxin, he begins to see and hear the Joker. He starts to have hallucinations of the Clown Prince of Crime, and as the story progresses and Scarecrow's fear toxin continues to grow stronger and have a tighter grip on Batman's psyche, Joker's presence evidently becomes much more powerful. And the game does it in very subtle ways, in ways that I don't think it gets enough credit for. A good indication that Joker is becoming stronger and much more powerful within Batman's psyche, and that battle of not becoming the very thing that is the complete opposite of him is provided through many different ways, one of which is visual representations. When the Joker first appears, his face is no different than when it was when he died. Boils, blisters, open wounds, his face and attire is far from pristine. Even the nature of how he talks to Batman is the same way he would have when he was alive. At least with this battle, with the slow transformation of becoming the Joker, it's how Bruce perceives Joker would have been talking to him were he still alive. Because remember, this does take place all in his mind.
Ah, memories. You, me, and a ward full of psychotic killers. You've never felt so at home, have you? Oh, come on. You think you're different because you never killed anyone? Newsflash! You killed me. I was there, remember? You destroyed my cure right in front of me. Watch me choke on my last laugh. And then, after killing me, you said you would have shared. You couldn't admit I'd won, could you? Not even as a parting gift.
But later on, as the narrative continues to go on and the Joker becomes more and more frequent, his facial scars and wounds start to heal, indicating that the memory of him, the way he was last seen when he was still a very real and present threat, is no longer just a memory. He's getting a second chance at life and is becoming essentially resurrected by means of the fear toxin. The way he talks to Batman is also no longer just jovial happiness at irritating him, but now it's more of a subtle persuasion. Just let go. It's far easier to give in. Why continue to hold on to that moral code, that one thing separating you from me? Why continue to fight?
Come on, finish him. Finish him. Look at him. He's no better than the creep who killed your parents. You need to do something. You need to stop him. Good.
It's not just him simply being haunted by the memory of his most notorious archenemy or the fear of becoming him and not being able to be stopped by anyone, which are very real and terrifying possibilities, don't get me wrong, but it threatens the very thing Batman is, a symbol, an icon. He's the identity of being incorruptible, unable to be swayed, to be brought down to the level of scum he vowed to fight against, and he has to juggle this idea of the Joker that only lives in his head, which is really a pressing matter because if Batman gives in, which will almost ultimately happen because his attention is constantly being pulled by so many other factors, then the Joker wins. It's the combination of the fear toxin and the progression of the contaminated blood in Batman's system will only get worse, and ultimately the outcome will be the same. And because he gives in and the transformation happens, Scarecrow The Arkham Knight, Penguin, Two-Face, and all the other criminals of the city will also win by default. The one person who can stop them all would be the worst one of them all, unless Joker continues through with killing them, kind of as he does at the end of the game when he completely takes over Bruce's mind, but we'll get back to that in just a second. To wrap up everything in terms of visual representations by Rocksteady, we already talked about Joker's facial scars and how he appears more and more healthy and even a little more aggressive in terms of how he speaks to Batman. The Joker's physical manifestations, all the joking, taunting, flashbacks of what happens to Barbara or Jason Todd, or the more direct cutscenes where he is practically yelling in Bruce's ear to kill someone. It all appears as if it was just Rocksteady's way of trying to make the Joker the main villain yet again, but it was really a clever way to show something else that is cleverly done out in the open world, and it's really an element that I would say even complements the fear toxin that Scarecrow, the main villain, worked on. You see, throughout the game, once Joker starts becoming a presence within Bruce's mind, there's a small subtlety within the world. Every now and again, as you're traversing, you'll find either billboards will start having Joker's face painted on it, or you'll see a Joker slogan or some type of ad campaign. It's there for just a second. If you look away, then look back, it's gone. Or sometimes you'll see criminals walking down the street, and one of the criminals might look like Joker. It's a wonderful touch that really is quite unsettling. If you don't even know it's a feature of the game, sometimes it can even catch you off guard, making you do a double take, but it's a peek also into Bruce's mind. Through exposition and the cutscenes and everything else, we know that he's sick and that he's going to be going through this transformation. There's also an acknowledgement between him and Robin that that is the worst case scenario that anybody can have.
You're the last Joker. That other cell's for you.
I need to stop Scarecrow. When I'm done, I'm locking myself away.
What if you fail? You'll be too dangerous. I won't be able to stop you.
Oh, no, you are not going to do this!
And it's one thing to be hearing these voices, these hallucinations of the Joker physically, but to now be seeing it out in the world, or even having these mental projections onto other people just walking down the street, really implies the intensity of the overall situation. Joker is everywhere. He's deep within Batman's DNA at this point in time, and unless he does something drastically to take over now, then it's going to be too late. He cannot get away from the Joker no matter what he does. This is his world. He's always going to be tied down to him. It's something that, while he may acknowledge it, he doesn't come to directly face it until the end of the game. The whole ending sequence of him giving up to Scarecrow to save Robin and Gordon is entirely dedicated to him facing his fears. Fears that are exponentially heightened by Scarecrow's toxin. The moment Batman surrenders his utility belt and steps into the truck to be taken to Scarecrow, Batman's fear completely takes over. A fear of losing control, of being taken back to the moment where he was a scared little boy, unsure of what the outcome was going to be. He relives the death of his parents to be interrupted by a barrage of endless Jokers fighting him, trying to get him to lose control, to prime him to do the very thing he always swore to never do, and that's to kill. Joker, or the perceived version of him deep in Batman's subconscious, has been breaking down that wall all night, and finally, he gets him to snap, quite literally.
Come on, Bats. You know you want to. So you finally lost it, eh? Finally snapped my neck. No denying it this time. You've got the mind of a killer, and that mind is mine. It's over, Bruce. You crossed the blood-red line, and now Scarecrow's going to set me free.
So this entire time, while Joker was getting more powerful with each exposure to the fear toxin, Scarecrow's belief that Batman's fear of watching a city burn, the symbol that he is meant to spectacularly crumble and descend into sheer panic, unveiled as nothing more than a frightened man, stripping the people that all believed in him and everything he stood for of hope. But that couldn't have worked because Batman's fear wasn't failing, it was giving in, becoming the same lowlife that murdered his parents, a fear he was fully aware of would happen. And could happen so long as he was sick with the Joker's blood in him. And this entire night, while he did mention earlier in the story he's trying to procure an antidote for not only himself but the 4 other sick individuals, in this moment, he for the first time throughout the entire game is finally given the time to address his fears head on. The whole game he pushed this threat of transformation to the sidelines, justifying prioritizing his attention on the people that are actually attacking the city, and not this apparition attacking his mentality. Meanwhile, he's getting exposed to a chemical that isn't making him weaker, but really more dangerous. Even Scarecrow mentions he's different after the initial exposure.
Something's changed. You're different. I prefer to call it a work in progress, but it does show potential.
But now, unmasked and strapped to a gurney with a second dose of fear toxin coursing through his veins, Batman was able to emerge in his own head as a symbol he always wanted to be, as a symbol and threat criminals see him as. With him and the Joker sharing the same mental space, he had the innate understanding that Joker's fear was being forgotten, leveraging this as a way to weaken the Joker's grip on him and locking the Joker away deep within his head and possibly even killing him off as far as he was concerned, believing that the real Joker is dead and with it this apparition that haunts him. The Arkham Knight's representation and deep struggle between not only Batman and the Joker, but Batman's resolve and limits to not give in to the sheer temptation of ending someone's life, no matter how much they may be deserving of that fate, I think is one that doesn't get that much credit, and it's one that, while I always found amazing, Mark Hamill's performance as a Joker's always been phenomenal, to me has always stolen the show. As I've gotten older, and with it, the game of course has gotten older, I've taken this appreciation of the representation between the villain and hero's relationship, but also the hero's morals and strength to stick to what it is he believes in. Let me know what you think. Let's talk the Arkham Knight down in the comments section below. I don't really do a game review specifically on this channel. I'll probably will be here soon. I'm working on a couple different games here and there, but after completing Suicide Squad, I just wanted to go back and talk about the Arkham Knight because this is my favorite game from Rocksteady. From my perspective, I think it's the cream of the crop. I think it's the best, and it has elements of the story that can be interpreted in different ways, and it's one that I've played countless of times. But anyways, like always, my name is Cynic. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you stuck all the way into the end. Maybe consider hitting the subscribe button if you enjoyed this at all. If not, it's perfectly fine. Either way, I will see you all in the next video.